Hello, I would like to tell you a story today. Back in 1967, a new TV show, Dragnet, used this opening. The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. My stories are also true, and I do not name any names. This story is about one of my experiences while I was a patrolman in a city. Since this is a police story, I need to get changed. There, now I look more like what you would expect. To start this story, I need to tell you about what led up to our city getting involved. Two suspects robbed, and I think killed, a military police officer in California. They stole his wallet and his duty weapon. They then drove eastward in a Toyota until they got to our state and city. They tried to use his stolen credit card in the Sears store, but when the clerk ran it, it came back as stolen. The clerk asked them to wait and called the police. A detective was sent immediately, but the young men got suspicious about the delay and left the store. The clerk followed them and got a description of their car. It was a Toyota Supra model with a sloped rear window. The clerk phoned again and gave us the description, and it was then broadcast on the police radio. The detectives saw the vehicle leaving the Sears lot and started a chase. The vehicle was headed towards the west side of town, where there are two freeway interchanges, one on the west side and one on the south side. I was on regular patrol duty at this time and heard all the radio traffic. The police dispatcher then assigned me to go to the southern interchange and assigned another officer to the western interchange. We were told to try and block the fleeing vehicle from getting onto the freeway. As it worked out, the fleeing suspect used the western interchange and drove north on the freeway, so I was not assigned to help in the chase. The detective and two other city patrol officers began the chase northbound on the freeway. The dispatcher notified the highway patrol on a statewide channel. A couple of the cities and the sheriff departments to the north of us also heard the broadcast and tried to help. As the suspect car went by one city, an officer shot 2 or 3 rounds of buckshot into the fleeing Supra's rear window, but it didn't break the window due to the window's slope. Later during the chase, a highway patrolman drove up to the side of the fleeing vehicle. One of the fleeing suspects shot several rounds into the trooper's vehicle. One of those rounds hit the headrest behind the trooper's head. He backed off. As the chase proceeded, one by one, our city cars ran out of gas and had to drop out of the chase. The suspects were finally stopped and apprehended when a mobile home was pulled across all the northbound traffic lanes. The men and their vehicle were returned to our city for processing. The suspects and their vehicle were returned to our city for processing and charges. That is when we learned about how they obtained a pistol. They eventually were extradited for the murder of the military police officer. We also learned they had hepatitis, and everyone who had any contact with them, their car or their property, had to have shots. That involved me as well, even though I wasn't in the chase. I was a patrol officer, but I was also one of the 2 officers who were police photographers. I was assigned to take evidence pictures of both the Toyota and the state trooper's car and their property. I found the shotgun rounds in the Supra's overhead lining between the lining and the metal roof. I looked there because I could see where the shotgun rounds hit the window and slid up through the chrome trim around the window. There were no holes in the roof, so they had to still be in the liner somewhere. The trooper was very lucky, or it just wasn't his day to die. The bullet in his headrest was only about 2 or 3 inches from his head. His car had other holes as well. When the chief of police learned that all three of our city cars had run out of gas and couldn't be there for the final stop and arrest, he was a very unhappy camper. The chief issued a department-wide order that from then on, no police vehicle was allowed to drive on less than 1/2 tank of gas. When a vehicle reached the half-full mark, it was to be considered empty and must be filled up before continuing your work. I learned that lesson so well that it is still my practice. I always try to fill up soon after hitting the half-full mark. If I get below it, I get really nervous. I have no doubt it works and have never run out of gas so far in my driving years. Well, that's enough for this story. Thank you for your time.